Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of like absolute precision.
Right. Yeah. It's very clear cut.
Exactly. You break your arm, the x-ray shows this jagged white line, and the doctor just points at it and says, there it is, broken.
It's completely binary. I mean, you look at the image, you identify the exact problem, and then you follow a very standardized procedure to fix it.
Right. It's clean. But then you step into the world of early childhood education, specifically language learning, and suddenly you realize the x-ray machine is it's completely useless.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
We are looking at a landscape that is incredibly murky. I mean, you have parents stressing over flashcards, toddlers throwing tantrums over grammar books, and, well, basically everyone is just wondering if they're doing it right.
Which is incredibly stressful for everyone involved.
It is. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are taking a deep dive into the messy, kind of confusing world of childhood language acquisition. And our mission today is to extract a really practical, totally stress-free roadmap.
A roadmap for building a foundational A1 and A2 level of English in children specifically.
Yes, exactly. And just to be completely clear on the jargon for you listening, we are using the CEFR scale here, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It's basically the global standard for measuring language skills.
Right, where A1 is your absolute beginner level and A2 is elementary.
Which sounds simple enough on paper, right?
Mm.
But the overarching theme in the data we're looking at today, from academic reviews, app guides, methodologies from places like NovaKid and the British Council, it represents a massive paradigm shift.
It really does. It moves us completely away from explicit instruction. The traditional classroom style of learning.
The drills, the workbooks.
Right, exactly. And it moves toward immersive implicit acquisition. We are looking at a fundamentally different way the brain absorbs information.
Yeah, and we are going to explore how you actually get a child to a confident A1 or A2 level in English without making it feel like a chore. And it turns out reaching these levels is entirely possible through play, simple daily habits, and surprisingly, screen time.
Yes, screen time done right, which is a huge caveat.
A massive caveat. We will definitely get into how to do screen time the right way. But first, before we even look at the how of teaching A1 and A2 English, I feel like we need to understand the why. Like, what is physically happening in a young child's brain that makes this the perfect time to learn?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to look at neuroplasticity.
Okay.
The research on this, what they call the brain sponge phase, is remarkable. Peak linguistic awareness happens between ages 2 and 6.
2 and 6, okay.
But the really vital metric here, the one that always surprises people, is that 50% of a person's cognitive development occurs by age 4.
Wait, 50%, half of it.
Yes, half of their cognitive development is done by their 4th birthday.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Because 50% by age 4 sounds huge, but what does that actually mean, like mechanically? Are they just memorizing things faster than we do?
No, it's not just about memorization at all. It's literally about the physical wiring of the brain. A child's brain has roughly 86 billion neurons.
Wow.
Right. And during these early years, those neurons are forming connections, synapses, at a rate of about 1 million per second.
1 million per second. That's hard to even comprehend.
It is. And by the time they hit 8 years old, 80% of their cognitive foundation is permanently laid. So when they learn English, they aren't translating it from their native language like an adult does.
Right, right. Like when I try to learn Spanish, I have to think of the English word first.
Exactly, you translate. But a child, they are mapping the new language directly onto the physical world around them.
So it's not like trying to carve a sculpture out of a block of solid ice, which is honestly what learning a new language feels like for me right now. It's more like pouring water into a mold. The brain just naturally takes the shape of whatever language it hears.
I would actually take that analogy a step further.
Okay.
The water doesn't just take the shape of the mold. The water physically changes the shape of the mold itself.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah. Learning a second language early builds cognitive flexibility. The brain is practicing the very act of categorizing information, recognizing patterns, and, understanding that different rules apply in different contexts.
But wait, this brings up a huge fear that I hear all the time from parents.
Mm.
If the brain is physically changing to accommodate English, what happens to their native language?
Ah, the displacement fear.
Yeah, like does the English take up space that should have gone to their mother tongue? Will it stunt their primary language?
The data completely debunks that fear. It's a very common worry, but it's totally unfounded. Early second language learning actually accelerates first language acquisition.
Really? It makes it faster.
Yes. Because the child's brain is highly active in decoding linguistic structures, they just become better at understanding the grammar and vocabulary of their native language, too.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It's like working out a muscle.
Exactly. Plus, it brings all these affective and social benefits. It reduces shyness. It opens their minds to different cultures. They realize early on that, people can share the exact same hopes and dreams, but express them in a totally different code.
I love that. But here is where it gets really interesting, though. To understand how to feed this superpowered brain, we have to talk about Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis.
Yes, a massive cornerstone in language theory.
Right. So Krashen argues that language is acquired most effectively when learners are exposed to comprehensible input that is just slightly above their current level. He calls this I+1.
And we need to define what that actually looks like in practice because it's crucial.
Go for it.
So the I is their current level of understanding. If a child knows the word dog, that is their I. The +1 is the slight challenge. It is not introducing the sentence, the canine is sprinting across the meadow.
Right. That's like I+10.
Exactly. The +1 is simply showing them a dog and saying, big dog. It's one tiny, perfectly manageable step forward.
But there is a catch, right? Because Krashen also talks about the effective filter. If a child feels pressured or, tested, this filter goes up and learning basically stops. Mechanically speaking, why does that happen?
It comes down to basic survival biology.
Really? Survival?
Yeah. When a child feels anxious or stressed, say, when they're being forced to sit perfectly still and recite vocabulary flashcards, the brain's amygdala activates.
And the amygdala is the threat detection center, right?
Exactly. The brain has a very limited energy supply. So when stress hits, it routes energy away from the prefrontal cortex, which handles learning and memory, and it sends all that juice to the amygdala to handle the perceived threat.
Wow. So the language processing center is literally shut down.
They shut down. The input just bounces right off.
So, okay, if their brains are perfectly primed hardware, and we know we absolutely need to keep the stress low to keep that amygdala calm, what exactly is the software we are installing?
Right. What does it actually look like?
Yeah, what does an A1 and A2 level actually look like for a kid? Because when I think of those levels, I honestly just picture sitting in a fluorescent lit classroom doing endless verb drills.
Which is exactly what triggers that effective filter we just talked about.
Exactly.
So let's look at the actual roadmap for these levels according to the sources. A1, the beginner level, is really all about the foundational building blocks. It includes the to-be verb I am, you are, he is.
Okay, the basics.
Right. It covers subject pronouns, basic articles like a, and simple present routines. Things like, I eat breakfast.
Got it.
It also covers the present continuous, like I am reading, and basic questions, who, what, where.
And then A2, the elementary level, builds on that foundation, right? This is where you move into the simple past, the future tense, basic modal verbs like can and must, and adverbs of frequency. But hold on. I need to challenge this whole concept for a second. If a 4-year-old parrots back the phrase, I am playing, how do we know they are actually acquiring the grammatical structure of the present continuous?
That's a very fair question.
Are they not just treating that entire sentence as one giant single vocabulary word? Yeah. Like a parrot just mimicking a sound?
This raises an important point, and it is the exact reason why explicit grammar teaching fails so spectacularly with toddlers. Initially, yes, they absolutely do treat the whole phrase as a single chunk of sound.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No, you're spot on. But then the brain does something incredible. It's a process called statistical learning.
Statistical learning, like the brain is running data analysis.
Essentially, yes. The brain tracks patterns and frequencies entirely unconsciously. A child hears I am playing, then later they hear I am eating, and tomorrow they hear I am running.
Oh, I see.
Right. The brain tracks that the I am and the ing sounds stay constant while the middle part changes based on the action.
Wow. So without ever opening a textbook or hearing the word verb, the child just extracts the grammatical rule.
Exactly. They absorb the structure implicitly because it is attached to a meaningful context.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening? It means if we cannot use textbooks to give them this data, we have to embed these grammatical structures into what kids naturally crave anyway, which is entertainment.
Entertainment, yes. Which brings us to multimedia.
Let's start with music, because music is universally recognized as a powerful tool here.
It is, mostly because it directly lowers that affective filter we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The rhythm and melody provide a very predictable, safe structure.
Take a song like Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes.
A classic.
Right. It is incredibly simple, but it naturally teaches body parts. And because it involves physical movement, it locks the words into their muscle memory.
It also builds phonological awareness.
Which is what exactly.
It's their ability to recognize and produce the distinct sounds of English. A child might not be able to formulate a complete A1 sentence from scratch, but they can easily sing a complex sentence because the melody literally carries the words for them.
Okay, so music is fantastic for sounds, but I really want to talk about cartoons because they are a major driver for vocabulary. Let's actually contrast two different shows to see how they work mechanically. Take Peppa Pig versus a show like Bluey.
Oh, that is a great comparison. Peppa Pig is highly effective for raw A1 building blocks.
Why is that?
Well, the pacing is intentionally very slow. The animation is a flat 2D style, which really reduces visual clutter. But most importantly, the language is incredibly literal.
Like stating the obvious.
Yes. If Peppa is jumping in a muddy puddle, the narrator literally says, Peppa is jumping in a muddy puddle.
Oh, right. So the visual maps perfectly to the audio in real time.
Exactly. It is a direct translation machine.
But then you look at Bluey, and it is completely different. Bluey is much faster, the language is way more complex, and it is entirely story-based. So why does a show like that work?
Because Bluey provides emotional context. The characters deal with frustration, joy, sharing, sibling dynamics.
The heavy stuff.
Right. The child's brain is mapping the English language not just to physical objects like muddy puddles, but to internal feelings and complex social situations. This is where A2 level comprehension really starts to blossom.
And the reason combining audio and visuals is so potent comes down to Mayer's multimedia learning theory.
Yes, Mayer's theory is fundamental here.
Mayer basically posits that people learn significantly better from words and pictures together than from just words alone.
It's a concept called dual coding. When a child hears a word, it processes through the auditory cortex. When they see the image, it processes through the visual cortex.
So because it hits two channels at once, it builds a much stronger neural pathway.
It's even more than just two parts working together. It actually reduces the cognitive load on the working memory. The child doesn't have to struggle to imagine what an apple looks like while simultaneously trying to remember the sound of the word. The image does all the heavy lifting, freeing up brain power to just focus on the language pattern itself.
But here's the friction, right? Cartoons move fast. A scene changes in, like, 2 seconds. What if a child's brain needs time to just stop and stare at the visual to process the word?
That is exactly where physical books become the necessary counterbalance to screen time. Books let the child control the pace of the input.
They could just sit on a page for 10 minutes if they want.
Exactly. And the data strongly supports using bilingual books as a scaffold. Having a book in both English and their native language, like, say, English and Turkish, keeps the cognitive load totally manageable.
So it prevents that frustration that spikes the affective filter.
Yes. They can grasp the context immediately from their native language and then focus entirely on the English structure without stressing.
But let's be honest, books and songs still require a lot of one-way absorption. Eventually, kids need to interact. And today, let's face it, interaction usually means a screen.
It does.
So let's look at the 2026 app landscape. Because handing a kid a random tablet game is not going to teach them A1 English.
No, definitely not. The overarching rule here is age segmentation. You cannot use the same tool for a 3-year-old that you use for a 10-year-old.
Right. So what's good for the younger kids?
For the 3 to 7 age group, apps like Gus on the Go or Lingumi are highly recommended.
Because they don't require any reading skills, right?
Uh-huh.
It's all about bright colors, native audio, and tapping. The child hears a word and taps the matching picture. Instant cause and effect.
Precisely. But as they hit that 8 to 12 age bracket, their brains crave complexity. They can read in their native language now, and they want agency.
They want to control things.
Exactly. And this is where a tool like Nountown comes in.
Oh, Nountown is fascinating. It basically drops older kids into a 3D open world on a PC or Mac. It makes learning feel like a video game. But why does a 3D space matter for language learning? Why not just a flashcard app?
It leverages spatial memory. It's often called the method of loci. Human brains have basically evolved to remember where things are in physical space.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So when a kid walks their avatar into a virtual bakery, picks up a virtual loaf of bread and hears the English word, they are tying the vocabulary to a specific location and a physical action.
Even if that physical action is just clicking a mouse.
Exactly. It creates a much stronger memory trace than looking at a flat flashcard. Plus, it uses spaced repetition.
Right, spaced repetition. That's where the algorithm tracks what you know and then shows you the word again right before your brain is about to forget it.
Exactly. It forces you to recall it just as the memory is fading.
Which strengthens the neural pathway. It's brilliant. But let's talk about limits, because a lot of parents worry about rotting their kids' brains with screens. We see this golden rule popping up everywhere in the sources. 10 to 15 minutes of daily app use.
Yes.
Why such a short window? I mean, logically, wouldn't an hour be 4 times as good?
You'd think so, but no. It's because of how the brain consolidates memory, specifically regarding synaptic pruning and sleep.
Okay, walk me through that.
When a child uses an app, they are taking in short-term information. But the brain cannot move that information into long-term storage while it is still actively receiving new inputs.
The buffer gets full.
Precisely. The buffer gets full. If they play for an hour, they experience cognitive overload. The brain literally discards the excess information.
Wow, it just throws it away.
It has to. But if they play for 15 focused minutes and then go, say, play outside, the brain has time to process. And more importantly, those short-term memories are solidified into permanent A1 and A2 structures during sleep.
So sleep is doing the heavy lifting.
Sleep is crucial. This is why consistency beats intensity every single time. 10 minutes every single day is exponentially better than 2 hours on a Sunday.
Okay, so we've optimized the cartoons, we have curated the apps, and we're managing the screen time. But apps have a major flaw. They are a closed loop.
They are.
They build vocabulary, but they do not teach conversation. I mean, they can't simulate a real, unpredictable human reaction.
Which brings us to the final, and honestly, the absolutely most crucial piece of the puzzle, the human feedback loop.
The parents.
The parents. The American Academy of Pediatrics has definitive research on this. Screen time is exponentially more effective when a parent sits and engages with the child.
So is the difference between, like, handing a kid a tablet in the backseat of a car, just so you can have some quiet time, versus sitting on the couch with them, pointing at the screen and actually interacting, co-viewing?
Yes, co-viewing is everything. If you watch Peppa Pig together and you pause it and say, look, a muddy puddle, you are turning a passive stream of audio into a shared lesson. You are validating the language for them.
And it has to go beyond the screen too, right? It's about taking those A1 phrases and making them functional in real life.
Definitely.
Because functional language means the child realizes English actually gets them what they want. So in the morning, you say, good morning, let's brush your teeth. Or at lunch, you do not just hand them a drink. You ask, time for lunch. Do you want juice or milk?
Exactly. By doing this, you are providing immediate context. They are learning the word milk because they are actually thirsty. The motivation to understand the word is built right into their biological need.
It's not just an abstract concept anymore.
No, it's very real. And when they do respond, positive reinforcement is absolutely essential.
Right. Saying great job or well done.
It lowers the affective filter again. It makes them feel safe taking risks with new, unfamiliar sounds.
You could also gamify the house, right? Play classic games like Hangman for older kids, or just play hide and seek with objects for the little ones. Hide a toy in the living room and give clues in English.
Oh, that's a great strategy.
But here's the thing I really want you listening to remember. You have to follow their lead. If your child is completely obsessed with dinosaurs, do not force them to learn about farm animals just because that happens to be chapter 1 in the A1 grammar book.
Right, motivation is the fuel for statistical learning. If they love dinosaurs, learn the dinosaur names in English. Learn the verbs for roaring and stomping.
Make it fun.
Exactly. Use their passion as the vehicle to deliver the grammatical structures they won't even realize they're learning.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. We started with this idea of a diagnostic murky water, right? This confusing landscape of how to teach kids English.
The broken arm analogy?
Exactly. But the roadmap to a confident A1 or A2 level is actually incredibly clear when you look at the mechanics of the brain.
It is. It relies entirely on taking advantage of the brain sponge phase, where those neurons are wiring at lightning speed. We keep the stress low to keep the affective filter down.
We target basic A1 and A2 structures implicitly. We do not teach grammar, ever. We provide enough data through comprehensible input so their brains can run statistical learning and find the patterns themselves.
And we use high-quality multimedia to do it. Music to lower anxiety and cartoons to utilize Mayer's dual coding theory, connecting those visual and auditory pathways.
We use targeted 15-minute app sessions to avoid cognitive overload and allow for sleep consolidation. And most importantly, we make it a shared, joyful daily routine.
Yes.
Through co-viewing and functional daily phrases, you, the parent or caregiver, you become the catalyst that turns passive vocabulary into active communication.
It is really about creating a lifestyle of language rather than treating it as an academic subject.
It really is. It's like pouring water into a mold while the clay is still wet and pliable. But as we wrap up today, there is a dynamic here that the data does not explicitly solve for, and it is something I want you, the listener, to kind of chew on.
Oh, this is a good point.
We have talked extensively about how you can guide children to an A1 or A2 level through co-viewing, play, and structured routines. You are the facilitator. You are in control of the input.
Right. Yeah.
But what happens when the child's English proficiency eventually surpasses yours? Because if this method works and that neuroplastic brain absorbs everything like we know it does, they will overtake you.
They absolutely will. It's inevitable.
So how do you continue to foster a bilingual environment, and how do you maintain your authority in their learning journey when you are no longer the expert in the room?
That's a fascinating challenge.
It is. Something for you to think about as you start this exciting journey. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.